Community Activities Commission meeting for December 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and may be viewed later on the city's YouTube channel. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Let's see. Commissioner Polson.
I'm here.
Commissioner D'Souza.
Here.
Commissioner Flash.
I am here.
Let's see. Chair Majors.
I am here.
Vice Chair Sticks. Commissioner Van Atta. Commissioner George appear to be absent.
And so is there any objection to approving the excused absences of Vice Chair Sticks, Commissioner Van Atta, and Commissioner George? Okay. Seeing none, we will consider them excused. Thank you. Okay, so now on, is there any objection to approval of tonight's agenda as presented? Okay, and if not, then let's show the final agenda approved as presented. And now on to the minutes. Is there any objection to approval of the minutes for November 9th, 2022 as presented? If none, please show the minutes approved as presented. Do we have anyone available for public comment?
There is no one in the line for public comment.
Thank you. So here's any comments and celebrations that we would like to share this evening. Commissioner Flash.
I will cover some things in my Newcastle Arts Council report, but I just want to wish everybody happy holidays. And hopefully you can spend some time with your family and friends and enjoy the next few weeks.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Souza.
Same. Happy holidays, and I hope everyone stays safe and healthy.
And same from here. I wish everybody the happiest of holidays this year. And just on a personal celebration, my daughter Jillian just closed on her first house yesterday.
Wow,
so we're
that's
super excited
amazing.
about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. And so we do have a little celebration in the house. Alexa, would you like to share?
I got engaged over Thanksgiving. I'm really excited. It's going to be a long planning process, obviously, but I'm a planner, so it should be good.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yes, congratulations on me. Yeah. And so with that, Alexa, would you like to present your report, please?
Yes, so no big giant updates, but our new Parks and Trails planner, Davi De La Cruz, started. He started on December 1st, and he'll be joining us at our January meeting for a quick introduction, and then probably our February meeting to go over the volunteer program. I spoke with Jeff about that today, and we're hoping to have some representatives from the Trails and Historical Society and Arts and everyone to kind of go through that process. So more details to come, of course. Our city manager, Scott, will be out from 12/16 through 12/22, so you're all aware, and Sarah Jacobs will be the acting city manager in his place. And then, as you know, we have our joint meeting with council to discuss our 2023 work plan on January 17th at 6 p.m. And this is after our regular Community Activities Commission meeting on the 11th at 7. So just be aware of that little time change there. And then the city offices will be closed on 12/23, 12/26, and January 2nd.
Okay, thank you. Just double checking here. let's see, I was just checking the date I had for, okay, so the 17th with, I had 16th in my head. That was obviously not correct.
Yeah, so 117 and it's at 6.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Of course. Okay, and Commissioner Flash with the report for Arts Council. And if Alexa and Commissioner Flash, if you could send notes to Vice Chair Sticks, as you normally do, then he'll put together a draft, and so we can get that into the council packet
Okay.
for next week. So that would be great.
Okay,
So
excellent.
having said that,
All right, well, we had a very busy November and December so far. So in November, we, on the 12th, had an event at the library making holiday ornaments, and there were about 120 people that showed up. We ran out of supplies, so
wow.
very successful event there. That morning, or actually, on the 19th, we had an online program with Furoshiki making, which is a art form by taking cloth to wrap gifts and items for that. There were 65 screens that were on that one. And then that afternoon, we did an intro to acrylics class also at the library live. And we had 18 people. We limited that to an RSVP list. So we would have had more. I think we had double people on the waiting list.
Commissioner, can you go ahead and turn on your microphone? That way we'll be able to hear you on the, is your microphone on? Do you have a red light?
I do have a red light.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I'll lean in. Then on December 3rd was also another busy day. We made holiday cards in the morning. I'm also at the library. There were about 75 people that were at that one. And then in partnership with the Issaquah School District and Newcastle Elementary and Liberty High School in the afternoon, we had a concert at Newcastle Commons where they sang holiday songs. And that was about 300 to 400 people attended
Wow, that's great.
that event. So that was wonderful. We're hoping to make that an annual event here in Newcastle. And the reason why it came to be is because some of these groups used to do performances at the Landing in Renton. And the musical director at Newcastle Elementary said, why don't we do something in Newcastle? So she approached the Arts Council and we helped put together that program. So hopefully that'll continue to be an annual event, and we're already starting to plan for next year. So on this Saturday, Dickens Carolers concert at the library. So that's at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And here's a flyer that everybody can have for that. And then last month, I presented to the group the idea of purchasing some artwork for the roundabout. So we met with the artist yesterday at the roundabout, and tentatively, weather permitting, we're going to install it on the 29th of December. So before the year end, hopefully that'll be up and people can be able to enjoy that piece of artwork. So that takes us through 2022. 2023, really quickly, January, we have a Lunar New Year celebration at Aegis Gardens on the 15th. This is going to be a big event. We have the line dancing group that's going to perform there. We have a martial arts demonstration. We're going to have food and some art projects and some other participatory activities for kids and families. So that's a big event for us. We're looking for volunteers, so if anybody wants to volunteer, we could use some help with that. And then in March, we're still going to do our youth exhibition. Our exhibition, this is the 5th year in a row that we will be doing that. We have a sound bath program in February on the 25th at the library, and then also in March, we have a basic ballet for adults, also at the library, so in March. So we're filling out the calendar for 2023, and we're looking forward to another great year. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so now we're on to our general business, and this is really around looking at the work plans. You all have an updated, you should have a handout that Alexa prepared for us with the most current updates from each one of the strategic direction teams. And so the idea is tonight is we're really focusing on the primary bullets for each strategic direction. So for example, if you're looking at number 1, which is the one that Amy and I were working on, this is what we're proposing for, statements or to support where we think what fostering community interaction means. And then we'll have additional conversations before the council meeting with council, so that we've got some ideas on how we might accomplish this. But the point is really just to get approval or agreement from council that this is the right direction, that these are the focuses that are appropriate for the Community Activities Commission. And then if we get agreement here, like I said, we'll have Alexa will help us put together the presentation, very similar to what we've done in the past. And then in our January meeting, then we'll just walk through it so that everybody's on the page. Since we're missing, 3 key commissioners tonight, I think it would be useful to have, everybody in the room, so to speak, to just have a little bit of a polished discussion before we meet with council. The council meeting with council is informal. It's not meant to be, structured presentation, but just so that we're all on the same page. Any questions about that? No. So I'll just start off here with our first strategic direction of foster community interaction, and Amy and I did a little tweaking to take moving toward advocate importance of consistently energizing Newcastle residents, kind of a broader brush of what we want to be about as the Community Activities Commission, and looking at new methods to engage our diverse communities. So again, recognizing we are diverse, and how do we bring those communities together or provide opportunities for our diverse communities to interact. And then this is in this partnering, then the last bullet there, with community organizations to promote activities and programs. And this is something that Commissioner Flash brought up last spring. I think it's been a while of are there ways leveraging our capabilities now with Kate and communications to provide a kind of a central point for a variety of local organizations, so that people can go to one place to find out what's going on in the city. So I think that's something that we want to explore. So is there any comments, changes? Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense.
Okay.
The intent is to define further the second box.
Michael?
The intent would be to define the box below at our next meeting, is that?
Well, Amy and I will get together and we will do that,
Okay.
and I think that can be an ongoing discussion for us. And so really the point here is when we go to have a conversation with council, we're really focusing on the 3 bullets, and then we'll have some ideas. Like, for example, we might have like if we're talking about partnering with community organizations to promote activities and programs, we might have an online website where people could post or contact Kate, and we'd have some protocol so that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Really, next month's conversation is largely around the what and not necessarily get wrapped up in the how, because we will, we have a budget that we've been allocated, and we'll just work through some of those hows, and if we need council approval throughout the year, then we can approach them for approval if that's needed. Okay, so if nothing there, we'll consider that one good to go. And then Deb. some
Sure.
Good work here.
Okay, so we updated it last year's minor tweaks, and Ed, I appreciate your input on this one. When I was assigned to this, I was like, what? Because it's your thing, I think, more than mine. But the first one, to advance activities and experiences in community camaraderie through city events, is to identify new and unique monthly and quarterly experiences and activities that foster community relationships and build authentic connections. So here I really wanted to focus on building authentic connections, that last. Explore opportunities to offer arts and cultural activities and enhance community art. And then promote volunteerism and develop year-round opportunities for residents to get involved in the community. And then lastly, coordinate events and projects that promote our parks and trails. Do you guys have any comments there? If not, there's just a few sections in the bottom that I would love to get your opinions on. Last year, we had, I think the comment in here that says we didn't even attempt to do this, it was basically I think it was taken out in the comments, so it's not in here anymore, so it probably doesn't matter. So forget that. And then self-funding through grant sponsorships, I wasn't sure what that was. So I didn't know if we should leave that in or not.
Well, I think from the, I don't know, this is a couple of years ago, the conversations that we had is when we had a parks planner and we had someone who potentially could help, us research and apply for grants for particular, like for perhaps something to, advance the Lake Warren Park or improve trails or, those where or arts. I mean, that's another one where there are often grants available, but we don't have, that's not our role as commissioners, and we need that liaison to help us identify where those funds might be available and provide for them. So now that we have Davi, that, I think that's one of the conversations that we can have with him as what does he see, what is he charged with in terms of his roles and responsibilities, but he could be a resource that if we have an art project, improvement of trails, the park, then.
Should this come out, Patty, or?
I don't think it has to come out, because I think it just identifies, and this is really, for us, it's kind of like below the line for any conversation that we would have with council.
Okay.
If there's funding, we have budget, an approved budget, above and beyond would need to come from other resources.
Okay.
And so I think that's great to just acknowledge that's an option. We just need to figure out how to leverage it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that even still applies for arts and cultural activities. For example, there's a grant that the city can apply for summer celebrations or festivals, basically. The festival has to be in place, I believe, for 5 years. And so that's an example of something that the city could pursue from an arts and cultural perspective.
Okay, thanks. A couple of the new things that we added here. Did you want me to go through this whole thing?
Yeah, anything that you'd like to share. So
Okay.
I think this is really, so we're all on the same page.
Okay.
So, sure.
So, create activities that utilize and promote Newcastle parks and trails. Build various new experiences and activities to encourage authentic connections between community members. So again, this year we want to work to engage the teen community. Do you know if the NICE group will be coming back?
I do not know. So that's nice. Do you have any insight into? The youth, yeah, the Newcastle youth, yeah.
Alexa might know more than I do. I know that during COVID, which is basically when I started with the city, that program was kind of put on hold, and I don't know
Okay.
what the conversations have been about reinstituting, you know.
So we'll look at opportunities to get that back on track.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, again, that's, another one of our diverse communities that we'd like to engage, so
Okay.
that's great.
So the next one, engage in some ideas and activities to engage our community. Some of the new ones on here, I think, are scavenger hunts. We had organized walks around the trails, art projects. Of course, Ed, you're doing an amazing job with that. Exercise classes in the park. 5K for a Cause was re-added, and then book or recipe swaps in the park is a new one. Local drives like the food drive, I think Newcastle does a great job at that, and we can be involved to the best extent we can. We could also be in support of a cause that we all agree on, and the rock garden was a good example there. Youth activities. I don't know that there's anything new there. One of the fun things I added down on the bottom somewhere is, are you guys aware of the Gnome Trail out in Maple Valley? So it's a trail. It's like a mile round trip, and people just bring their gnomes and put them on the trail, and it's just a super fun place to go and look at all the gnomes. And I haven't heard of a lot of, people stealing them or defacing them or anything. But I thought, wouldn't it be awesome if we could start our own little, whether it's gnomes or something else, to get people more interested in the trails. So if we can get them even on that trail right over by Lake Gorn and have the fun little gnomes that they could go look for with their little kids, I thought that would be super fun. And just get people to start doing that. So that's new on this list as well. So I think the rest of it is pick up from last year.
Okay.
Just a comment on that, on the gnomes idea brings up an idea. I can't remember where this, I think it's in California somewhere, but they have it's like a scarecrow festival every year. And so everybody in this little town makes scarecrows and puts them out.
I love that.
And so it's this big draw to the city. So we can institute something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be scarecrows or gnomes, but some sort of festival like that, where we can get people around the city to participate in.
I love that idea. Best time of year.
Right.
In Sammamish, we did have something like that. That was a fairy house trail, and people would like design their own little fairy houses or fairy gardens, and then there would be like a dedicated trail, like you were saying, where everyone can put them up, and then they'd have a little map to go see them. So I think that's a really cute idea. That'd be fun.
I think over the years too, it could be a gnome trail on one trail and then a fairy trail on another trail, and people would really be excited to go search out the different trails just to see those little fun things.
And one more thing, we do have on the schedule in, I think it's June, to do a refresh of the rock garden.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah.
Sweet. Are there any questions or additions you guys would like to see on this? And Kim and I will get together and we'll refine it again before January.
No, I mean, I think this is an ongoing, and I think we can have an opportunity to bring some new thinking and some
Yeah.
and I think that's also an opportunity. How can we engage the community? It doesn't have to be just us. I mean, one of the things that Amy and I talked about is how do we find ways for the community to be part of the planning process,
Yeah.
to help. It doesn't, not just us necessarily doing the work, so to speak, but, how can we help light a spark? And so that's one of the things that we were, thinking about in terms of fostering the community interaction, that it's just not the CAC having ideas and bringing them to fruition. I mean, much like, Ed's has people that are approaching him, and he finds ways to, his group to make it happen. And I think we have an opportunity to
I think so
do
too. I
the
think
same.
we can almost use the Arts Council as a example
Mhm.
of, you know, how active we want to be. And like, look how much we've grown these activities in the last even year. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I think we
Yeah.
should just rely on some of the successes you had and learn what you did to make them so successful and start plowing away at it a little bit more. So, all right, and then Patty, one more question for you. Should we slim this?
Oh,
Sorry. Should we slim this down?
You don't have to do anything more. I mean, this is the details
Okay.
that's our working document. So that's for us
Okay.
and for you. And not, this won't be visible to council.
Okay. All right.
So
Thank
we're
you.
just going to do the strategic direction and then the primary bullets, speak to that, and then these can essentially be our notes. If you
Okay.
want to think about it that
All
way.
right. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, strategic direction 3, Ed and Shali.
Okay, so made a few changes to the upper section, and then a few changes to the lower with some ideas. We mainly focused on kind of the direction on the top. The first thing is, so celebrating Newcastle community, we still, two key words there, right? Community and celebration. It's important for us to celebrate and it's important for us to have community. But the first thing we thought of was, okay, well, what is our community? And how do we define that? And so before we can start celebrating what that is, we need to really define that and decide what the community is and what the elements of the community are. So I think that's really important for us to kind of piece that together and understand what our community is. The next is picking a theme, and we thought that there was some question about whether we leave this in here or take it out. The thought was to leave it in because we felt like it kind of anchored us on something, and it gave us something to kind of hold on to, a little bit of purpose, something that we can resonate toward or that the community can resonate toward. So with that in mind, we left it in here as opposed to taking it off. It's just in collaboration of events that bring our community together and celebrate what makes Newcastle special. I don't think that changed from the last time, and it's important because obviously we're here, we're committed to the city of Newcastle because we volunteer our time and our efforts, and we think that Newcastle is a special place. And so I think part of that is communicating that to others and getting a sense from others as to why they think Newcastle is special, and also to communicate why Newcastle is special with our community. Adequately planning for CAC events, and thanking those people that were involved in those events. And so I think we do a really good job of that. The thought was that, just make sure that we're planning adequately, giving enough time to do those types of things, and then also to thank those people that had been involved, particularly our sponsors, because we couldn't do that without them. We couldn't do that without our volunteers, just making sure that we give recognition where recognition is due. The other thing that we wanted to make sure that we covered was partnering with our communications manager to spotlight our community assets, the events that we're doing, our history, so on and so forth. With Alexa coming on, that frees up some time for Kate to focus on that element, and we want to make sure that we're leveraging that from a city perspective. And then we took out the whole comment about the trails and parks because we felt that was redundant with one of the other comments on the other strategic focus. And then we didn't get into a lot of the how-to, and specifically what we were doing, how we were going to accomplish all of the things up above, only to take out those that we felt weren't relevant anymore. So you can see those are crossed off on the list, and the rest was all kind of left the same for further discussion with the whole group. So, anything to add?
No, we just talked about kind of keeping this as like a party like a celebration type, like theme where we're just celebrating and we're kind of keeping it, I don't know, yeah, like everything should be a celebratory thing in this section. And then the theme, we wanted to pick a theme and just kind of use that throughout the year, to tie different activities in with that theme. So we're, like you said, to be anchored, I guess, so we don't kind of deviate in all kinds of directions and kind of stay focused. That's it.
Anything? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, then, moving on here to just, I think, at this point, I would say this is just, well, the proposed event schedule is probably still work in progress. The conversation, Alexa and I and Vice Chair Sticks met with Jeff and Scott this morning, primarily just to confirm what the city's perspective was on events. And so we're clear, we're budgeted for 4th of July, we're budgeted for concerts, and I don't think we determined how many. Yeah. Yeah, concerts, so that's still in place.
What's that number? Do we know?
I don't think we've got it. Part of that will determine on cost,
Got it.
so,
Okay.
So we've been budgeted, or we have a budget for concerts and other activities, and we also have a budget for Newcastle Days. So that's all in place, and so we know that we can put that on our agenda. And so some of the things that we've talked about, continuing to, or putting on the calendar that still needs to be confirmed. I know there's some interest in highlighting our stormwater, so maybe doing something for Earth Day relative to stormwater. So there's some ideas there that we can, I think about, and what I would propose, and I'd be happy to do this, is work with Alexa and we'll come up with a proposed schedule for our January meeting, and then we can weigh in on that, so that then when we go to the conversation with council, that we have a reasonably the best idea that we can in terms of how many concerts we think we might do. We might have 4th of July, but it might not be fireworks, depending on cost. It might be just a concert, or not just, but a concert. So I just think there's some things there that we can work out as we get to know more. Yes.
And I'll be able to talk to Jeff before then as well to get a better idea of what exactly, if things can be added in like Earth Day and what exactly that entails. So I'll be able to talk to Jeff before that as well.
I think Patty had a quick question, sorry. Prior to COVID, we'd come up with a plan to have something every single month.
Mhm.
Are we shooting for that? Even not, a big expense thing, but just an activity or a walk or something. Are we shooting for that this year?
There is, that
There's no reason we
completely
can't?
open. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think, do we have somebody who's interested in leading it? What would that be? And, I think some of the conversations that we had, I'm really interested in how can we get more involvement with the community, that we participate in helping us plan. We don't, so those sorts of things, but certainly that's all on the table. We have a budget, and so whatever we propose, the funding is, that's finite, but it's, I think we're in good shape there in terms of funding for the primary events. Cool. So any more questions? Does that seem like a good plan in terms of what I'd like to do, if someone would move to approve the strategic directions, then Alexa will have that. She can start working on the the slide deck, the presentation, and then we'll do a little bit more work for the events. And then we'll have that to be part of the conversation for our meeting with council.
So I would like to make a motion that we go forward with the strategic plan as discussed tonight.
Okay? And do we have a second?
I second.
Great, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you. Let's see. We are good there. All right, so we are wrapping up here. Yeah, I was just about to do that, so yes, thank you. And
Nobody in line for
standing in
public
line.
comment.
Okay. Okay, so our calendar, I think we know we're meeting with council on the 17th. Our meeting, we will meet on January 11th. Again, have an opportunity to meet with Davi, polish up the, whatever we want to do for council. And I think that's it. Is there anything else? Well, then I think we can adjourn.